Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello everybody and welcome to the latest Liverbird pod. Yes, I know we've had a long break again, but never fear, we have lots and lots to talk about. I have my regular contributors, Amy, Kate and Randy with me today for this edition, and we're looking forward to getting into a number of meaty subjects, may I say. So first and foremost, welcome ladies, and we're going to kick off with our latest game, our 2-0 win against Brighton. So Randy, let me start with you. What was your take on the Brighton game?
Hello, I'm so glad to be back before I say anything else. Well, I must admit I didn't actually watch the game yesterday, so I was having a social day, doing all sorts of different stuff, being on a concert, meeting people I haven't seen in a long time. But of course, as normal, I see I go into the LFC TV and see all thing I can see about the game. So as looking at it and looking at all the comments on Twitter as well, I saw that, thank God we've still got Alisson, the best keeper in the world, because he hardly had anything to do. But in the end of the match, he made one of those cat reaction saves that gave us a clean sheet, which was a lovely thing, of course, because we need them going forward because of the goal difference and everything. And I could also spot Matip's ball to Diaz before he was laid bare to the ground after he thankfully got us the goal. So what a ball from Matip. Brilliant. And Diaz looks unplayable, doesn't he? I'm so happy for him and for us, and listening to Klopp talking about him as well, because of course he gets a lot of questions about him. He says, well, we knew what we got in a way. We knew that he would be a good fit. He's still got things to do when it comes to defending, but it is hard not to praise him because every match he just looks the perfect fit, doesn't he?
He really does, and we probably will come on to talk a little bit more about Luis Diaz a bit on in the pod. But if I just go back to Matip for a second, because it was a fabulous ball and it was a great assist. But Amy, Kate, he has just before that game announced also as the Premier League Player of the Month as well.
Yes, he was. Which I was glad to see, him getting recognition, because I think a lot of times some of these players don't get the recognition they deserve. So it was really great to see that, Matip had won that and well deserved.
Yeah, he's definitely one of our unsung heroes. He doesn't get that much publicity other than obviously no context Joel Matip.
Which is hilarious.
Twitter. But Amy, Kate, and I look, I know this is a leading question, but were you as, let's say, surprised as I was that Sanchez didn't even get a booking for that challenge on Diaz?
Yeah, shocking. The whole thing was just shocking that they didn't call that. You see the replay and you're just like, are you kidding me? And I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why that didn't happen.
It was an assault.
It literally, I mean, it looked like, so it happens really quick when you watch it, but when they put the replays back, which I did, well, they kept putting it back, and I actually went online to see it again. And I mean, it looks like he literally knocked him out, like kicked him in the head. And maybe he didn't, but I mean, how is that not a red card? How is that not, shocking. Yet, games before when I don't remember how long ago it was. It's been a while, but you remember when Mane ended up challenging the keeper and hit him, and the keeper had come out of the box. He wasn't in the box like this situation, and Mane got red carded and taken out. And okay, he did hurt him. It wasn't intentional, but it was, it was City. So I was kind of like, how is that not? I know it's not exactly the same thing, but it's a challenge, and Mane gets the red card for that, but it doesn't happen in this game. So it was. Has the rules changed? I mean, am I missing something? I don't know.
Haven't changed, and that's the really frustrating thing about this is because that supposedly is what VAR is there for, right? So to an extent, you can say, well, maybe the referee wasn't looking at that. Maybe he was looking to check whether there was an offside. Maybe he was following the path of the ball to make sure it was a goal or whatever. So you could legitimately say maybe the referee wasn't completely on the spot, or he hadn't seen the follow through. But VAR were looking at it. They were looking at it for potential serious foul play. The man assaulted. The ball has gone. The ball is nowhere near him. He basically leaves his leg up and has got like a throat high arm taking out the player, but there is nothing seen wrong with that. And I, the guy who's doing VAR is he's got previous anyway, but I genuinely think that they thought, oh well, it's a goal, so there was no offside, so it's fine, so we don't have to worry about it. And to my mind, that's exactly the same issue that we had with Van Dijk being assaulted by Pickford. Because they spent all of their time trying to work out who was offside and didn't care about the foul. And I find it bizarre. I find it absolutely bizarre.
It's very strange. I thought that's why we had VAR for this typical cases,
Yeah, it's incredible that did not get called. I mean, thank God it looks and seems like Diaz is okay and all is well, but it's very frustrating.
Who did you feel particularly sort of stood out for you in that game on the Liverpool side, Amy Kate?
Well, I think that, I mean, Diaz, of course. I think that it was just I think they worked together very well. I think that they just played as a unit, as a team, and Randy mentioned Allison's save, which I don't know if other keepers would have been able to do that, and I just think that we have come together as a team cohesively so well that I can't really pick out one particular player outside of Diaz, that I think was better. I just think that they've done really well cohesively as a team, and that's what you want is everybody to work together and to make that, because you're as strong as your weakest link. So no, it was I would say a routine-ish win for us. I was delighted with the clean sheet. Obviously, the more of those, the better. The only slight worry was Salah going off with an injury. Yes, and him hitting the woodwork again.
What one hopes that this isn't, he's just going through one of those little spells. I fully expect him to take it out on some teams. He's hit the woodwork about 4 times in the last 3 games.
Yes.
And it looks feel like he's getting a bit frustrated with himself. I don't know what you think, Randy, in terms of and we may as well sort of come onto it, because I think if we talk about that intergame, I still am shaking my head as to how we ended up on the losing side in, in that game. I don't know whether you saw it or managed to see highlights, Randy, but I think we hit every post, the bar. We had one cleared off the line, and
it was crazy.
Like one worldy shot, which I think it either goes, it goes into Rosette or it goes into the top corner.
Yeah.
We end up losing 1-0, but again, Salah, I think he hit both posts, actually.
He did.
He hit both posts and the crossbar.
Yeah.
Or
and
was that
matchup as well?
Jones as well, or Jota? So that match was absolutely mad. I saw it and I thought, in one way, it was like we started very slowly and we didn't sort of get up to their pressing game. They were really, really well. They played really well Inter. But when we got to it, it was all those, centimeters from actually winning that match 3-1.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Which I thought would have been a fair reflection of the game, actually. Not to say Inter did play very well. I thought they came in with a really good game plan. They pressed us. They would have it, but it isn't like we didn't make the chances.
No. And I think especially Salah has made, you can see his body language now. He gets really, really frustrated. But at the same time, next time he gets the ball, he still believes he's going to score this time. So as you said, sooner or later it's going to happen. But it's very frustrating to look at, because you know how often those get inside and not in the bar or wherever or outside. It's just very frustrating to look at.
It is, but I guess one of the things that's in our favour is let's hope it isn't a serious injury and it's just it's just a bit of bruising or something. But if we do have to lose him for a couple of games, it's not like we now don't have a really strong bench, really adequate replacements. I mean, Salah is world class. Everybody knows that. But, and it feels like a little bit by stealth, we've suddenly looking at our bench going, hold on, right? They've got a lot of good players on their bench. There was, a season and a half ago, we were, bemoaning the fact that, we had a brilliant sort of first 13 or 14, but we didn't have enough depth. And yet, without much fanfare or what have you, we appear to suddenly be in a much, much better position. And I would say, you have to add to the fact that we have an almost fully fit squad, which, last season was just disastrous for us. But, like I said, I really do hope that, it's nothing serious. Just before we kind of move on to the next subject, just because we've been talking about Salah, Amy Kate, I don't know if you've been sort of picking up on some of the bizarre tweets and stuff his agent has been putting out, and also that they've apparently, or his agent is what I would say, has been talking to Fabrizio Romano, whatever his name is, who's an absolute clown, and has no in and no links with the club. I do find it a strange approach by Salah's agent, or Salah, I should say, the agent, because he's really not doing himself and particularly his client any favors. I don't know if you've got a view on that, actually.
Well, I didn't actually see it originally through the Twitter stuff. It's been the reactions, like Rio Ferdinand was talking about it yesterday, I believe, might have been the day before, but I've seen it from the aftermath of it, not necessarily. I haven't seen the actual tweets. I've just kind of stayed away from all of that, but it's just, you're right. It's not helping. It's not doing Salah any favors. It's making Salah, it's kind of painting Salah in a different way. They're talking about, it's money. It's, he wants more money, and, Liverpool has to have this threshold. They only have so much money. And I don't know. I just really hope that we can come to some conclusion because of a positive way for us and for Salah, because I want him to stay. I think we all want him to stay. I think he wants to stay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with some of these agents, Coutinho's way back when, ended up leaving, but, and then again, it's circumstances and whatnot. And I think he did want to go, but his agent was stirring the pot. Same thing with, you go back to Sterling. His agent was stirring the pot. It's these agents that are, cause, really kind of sticking their nose where maybe they shouldn't, or I wish they didn't. Yeah. Not that I have any say, but it's just sad that it comes to that. And my God, they make so much money. It's ridiculous when when they start talking about money, and I'm going, are you kidding me? I get that, someone else is making more than them, but there's got to be this point that, like, how much money do you really need?
Yeah.
So,
I would imagine that he's already made more money in his career up until this point than he would ever be able to spend anyway, as most of that sort of top tier of players will have. And I'm not saying I don't want him to be paid what we think he's worth, but it is what we think he's worth versus what his agent thinks he can get, which are two very different things. And for me, and I know we've talked about this before, I had my heart broken with Torres, right? And when he went to Chelsea, and I swore after that I would never emotionally invest in a player in the same way. You support the crest on the front, not the name on the back. And so, as much as I want Salah to stay, if we put down a good I don't know none of us know the details, right?
Right.
But
right.
if we put down what we consider to be a really good offer, and we're talking about like probably 300 grand a week, 350 grand a week. I mean, these are astronomical sums of money.
Yeah.
And we also have a wage structure, and the one thing you would say about our owners, and we'll come on to sort of Chelsea and stuff about that, is that they have they've spent the last 10, 12 years making us self-sustainable as a football club. Now, you have people who argue about, should they have put more money in, should they have done this, that, and the other, whatever, right? They're not the best owners in the world, they're not the worst owners in the world. But what they have done is that they have enabled us to flourish as a club, to a pretty good thing. And we have Jurgen Klopp, and we have a what will soon be a 61,000 capacity crowd, and probably one of the best teams most of us have ever seen play in our life, right? So it's a pretty decent picture overall. We cannot afford to pay one player so much, we have nothing left for everybody else. And that's my concern. I'm not even convinced that Salah is asking for it. I do think this is his agent more than him. But my limited understanding is I think they have a relationship going back a long time, and I think they're friends. So whether they were friends before he became his agent or whatever, I don't know. But I don't know whether that muddies the waters as well in terms of how Salah sees him versus how he's behaving as his agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's a lot of sort of speculation in there, but ultimately, I don't want him to go. But if he does go, I I believe we will do the right thing in terms of replacing him, not like for like, because you can't, because he is a unique player, but in terms of if he goes, and we will, we will get a lot of money for him if we do this right. It will strengthen the team overall, the same as we did with Coutinho.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't want it to come to that.
No, no, definitely not. And I just think it's so weird
Well,
because
let's just hope that they come to some. Yeah.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Randy.
was
no,
saying
it's just Salah seems so sound and grounded, and his agent seems so immature and stupid. So how come,
yeah,
is this in his interest that he behaves like he does, laughing at Klopp's last comments in the press conference, wasn't it? Something like that.
yeah.
And it's, and I think you have to decide what type of footballer you are then. Are you a footballer? Are you in it just for the money? It doesn't seem like he is. And if he is, he could go to PSG, I guess. Go there and just hang around with all the other stupid people that just wants to make money, and of course he can do that. But the only other teams in Britain that can pay these stupid salaries is City for obvious reasons, and United, which hasn't got a good team spirit, by the way. So let's hope he stays. Let's hope he is as sound as it seems.
Yeah, let's hope so. We don't. Yeah, let's think good thoughts, because there's enough bad shit going on in the world, frankly.
Oh yeah.
So let's try and think positive on that. Which sadly then brings us on to our next subject, which is it's not positive, but it is interesting. I guess in some respects, because sadly, with the war going on in Ukraine, and the sanctioning of Russian businesses, oligarchs, and what have you in the UK, or in England particularly, they've obviously very slowly, I might add, this government, but they are because they are awash with Russian money themselves, but that's a conversation for another day. They have sanctioned Roman Abramovich, and clearly part of that is his ownership of Chelsea Football Club, which is now, in effect, he's been disqualified as a director. They've been given a special license to continue operating as a football club until the end of this season, so the 31st of May, with sort of special license conditions set by the government. So, the amount of money that they can spend on home games, on away games, that they can't operate the club shop. They can't put any merchandise in. They can't sign players. They can't sell players, or they can't extend contracts. And there's a little bit of hubris here from supporters of other clubs, and I get it, right, because I was there along with a lot of other people, when Abramovich first came into Chelsea and just started spraying all of this money around, and it was changing the landscape of football, and not necessarily for the better. And you look at what's happened with the sovereign wealth funds with Man City, and also Newcastle United. Now you've got their supporters happily running around with shake outfits on and all of the rest of it. And football fans can be incredibly blinkered, right, when it comes to, the source of funds for their teams, versus what success it potentially brings on the pitch. So I have limited sympathy, right, for Chelsea supporters, because a lot of them knew that the where Abramovich was getting his money from was not completely kosher, on the basis he now spends his time in Israel. I think that's an appropriate term to use.
Mm.
But we're quite happy with it, and to my mind, and like I said, maybe I am being, I can't say I'm not enjoying elements of the fact that some of these chickens are coming home to roost, but I don't think you can look at Chelsea in isolation, would be my view. This has happened because of what's going on in Ukraine, which is horrific. But, you know, you've got the Saudis. There's been a war and a bombardment going on in Yemen, and nobody's sort of saying, well, those people should be sanctioned, or any of those wealth funds or anything else taken away. And I think it's hypocritical to just maybe focus on Chelsea simply because of what's happening in Ukraine, albeit that's the reason that it has happened. But actually, some of these oligarchs should have been sanctioned years ago. Unfortunately, London grad, as it's been called now, is like, the money laundering capital of the world. If you're, if you're Russian, or you've got some dodgy deals, you can come and buy stuff anonymously in London. Bring it on.
Yeah.
It's really quite depressing. Sitting here, living in this country, watching some of this stuff unfold. But I suppose the reason that I wanted to sort of talk about it is because this could be the thin end of the wedge if the football authorities actually want to do something significant on the back of this. Because, the FA have turned around and disqualified him as a director. I would argue, if it's on the basis of his links to Putin, or his links to like somebody committing war crimes or genocide or whatever, there's a few others they should be looking at. So sorry, I haven't posed a question, but I'm just interested in your views. Amy Kate, let me go to you on that. I've just had a bit of a diatribe, really.
No problem. No, it's really sad what's happening in Ukraine, and that's the thing we need to not forget, is what's happening to these innocent people. But from what I'm gathering, most of the Russian people don't want this. And I feel sorry for, those people, in Ukraine that are losing their lives, or, their home, and just this beautiful country turning into what it is, opposed to, the Russian people that don't want it. And I feel sorry for, these athletes that have nothing to do with it. We've got, Christian Pulisic, an American who plays for Chelsea, and not that I ever wanted him to go to Chelsea, and I didn't want him to succeed while he played there against us, but, I mean, he's our best American player, and he's brilliant. And seeing what's happening for him is, and all the other players that are stuck, it's sad and interesting to see what happens with that, because, they can't leave. They can't go to another team. They can't get traded, or it's just, the whole thing is just, I don't know. I mean, the sanctions that are going out there, I don't think it's, I guess I'm kind of biased because I'm kind of thinking, good, I'm glad this is happening for, we need to do stuff to get, sort this thing out with Putin. But, at the same time, there's so many other people affected, and that's what I feel bad about, is the innocent people that are affected by this. So
Yeah, it's just so distressing to have to watch. And I don't know if any of you made it, but I was in Kiev in 2018. I went there for the Champions League final. It's the most beautiful city, sitting there on the river. It's just, the culture, the arts and people was so lovely to us. And I'm sure I told you the story because, we had real issues with the hotels and them trying to pull the prices. And, this couple in Kiev took me and my friend in and sort of said, come stay with us. We have a sofa bed. We'll open up actually, this is not how we do it in Kiev. You should not be, charged stupid money by the hotels. And they looked, they fed us. They looked after us. They offered to, take us around their city or whatever. And there were so many experiences that I know fellow Liverpool fans had going for that Champions League final, and to see that city being destroyed and encircled by a war criminal who has invaded a sovereign country with no justification. And the concern for me is you're right, Amy Kate. The vast majority of Russians, and there is a generational split here as well, particularly all the younger Russians, they are out protesting, right, in cities, which is incredibly dangerous for them to do, but they are protesting against the war. The older generation, and I am obviously generalizing here, but are basically, have been fed this propaganda over the last 10 years around the Donbas region, around Crimea, around Ukraine being overrun by neo-Nazis, by all of this. They are believing that what's being fed to them because, Russia has shut down most of all of the independent news outlets now, the radios, the TV channels and the newspapers. They've passed even more, regressive laws and stuff. So that it's very difficult for ordinary Russians to actually get access to what's really happening on their doorstep. So I have nothing but admiration for those that are protesting because they are taking their lives in their hands. Randy, I mean, I can't say like I said, I have to be honest here. I can't say I'm not enjoying the potential thought of the demise of some elements of that Chelsea machine because it's been built on dirty money.
That is very interesting because, of course, as you said, we're all hypocrites when it comes to being fans, and we make sense of whatever advantage we have because we want to build on our success, and I'm sure that's what Chelsea fans does these days as well because they had brilliant times with all the money they've spent the last 20 years. Of course they have. And I think going forward now, these next weeks and months, maybe this year, is going to show what is going to happen to Chelsea in the future because how they tackle this, how they handle the situation they're in now is going to show whether this is a real club or not because, of course, they've had all this money, but they must have very, very good people working for the club as well, or else they wouldn't be where they are. So it's going to be interesting looking forward. But I think as you started out with, Gay, the hypocrisy in the British government as well at the moment is like they're pointing somewhere else and saying, look over there, that's a villain. Let's take him, let's make this our scapegoat so people don't look too much on ourselves because the government is full with Russian money.
Yeah, it's disgraceful.
Yeah. So it's sad on so many ways. I think this is at the moment, but because they are where they are now. I mean, how can they go abroad playing Champions League for 20,000? That should travel. I mean, they're going to live in hostels and drive their own cars, or what the fuck? It's going to be interesting to look at.
I think they might be hiring a coach and leaving 4 days before.
Yes. Like we do when we go to a Champions League match.
Exactly.
Oh dear.
They'll just go with the fans.
Yeah.
I'll have a big convoy of fans. They'll all go together.
It's such a shock. It must be such a shock for them, Yeah, that is lovely. They're gonna sit there trying to book the cheapest tickets on Ryanair.
Exactly. So I don't, I can't say there isn't a little bit of Schadenfreude in there for me,
No.
elements, and also trying to understand. So if they can't sell tickets, right? So season ticket holders can go, and tickets that they've already sold for games can be fulfilled, but they can't sell any new tickets. So let's say, right, we drew, let's say Chelsea go through into the sort of the next round of the Champions League or the FA Cup or whatever it is. We draw them. So let's say we got Chelsea in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Does that mean that they can't have any fans at Wembley? That means it's like 80,000 Reds in Wembley.
Well, will they actually let us have the whole stadium, or would they still say, okay, there's a certain amount of tickets? You know how they do that whole thing. There's the corporate crap, and then there's the fans, and there's it's split, and they however they come up with this. Do they actually say, okay, here's the red side, you guys are full to capacity, I understand we have all these tickets or all these seats, but we can't sell those, so to make it not fair but somewhat fair? Or do they just say, hey, we want the money, and the Reds just take over as we do?
Maybe we could have all the tickets if we have half and half blue shirts.
I don't even know how to respond to that, Randy.
Yeah, that's not happening. So, well, I guess Wesley's got a couple of options, hasn't it? It either sort of gives them to the club because let's face it, if it's a big enough club now, if it was Southampton, right, and who got through against Chelsea, the fact is Southampton couldn't fill Wembley, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but but I'm sure they would take their full allocation. But I can't believe that Wembley would want a half-empty stadium for an FA Cup semi-final. So they're going to have to come up with something. If it's not if it's not the other team gets like a bigger allocation, then the likelihood is that they will. I don't know. Maybe they up the corporate sponsors. Maybe they give it to, further down the pyramid. But all that happens is you'll find like Chelsea fans trying to, as an example, trying to then buy, tickets will go on eBay or they'll go on.
Yeah.
Right.
The travel companies and stuff like that sell them as well.
But it's because Chelsea. It's the point is that Chelsea won't be able to sell them. So. Because they can't, they're not allowed to make any money. But yeah,
but what happens if we are going to go to their place, and are we not allowed to buy tickets for Stamford Bridge then?
Possibly. I mean, these are some of the new.
That's something to think about. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right, because
they can't. They're not able to sell tickets for future games. Now. If they can't sell them, so they can't sell home ones, and I'm presuming then they can't sell away ones. If they do sell away ones, it's that they can't have the revenue. So it would seem strange to punish the away team to not have their supporters there. But I don't know. I would have to go and do some more research to try and understand.
Well, I have an idea. Why don't they just give the money to the NHS or something like that?
Yeah.
The Disasters Emergency Committee, thing for Ukraine.
Yeah.
They sell the tickets and donate the proceeds straight to the. So definitely things that could be done. But this is somewhat uncharted territory. Let's be honest.
No, that's true. Has this happened before? I mean. Not in my history, but I mean, is there
not that I know?
Okay,
I mean, there's
think so either.
Not where you've had basically somebody, an owner of a club sanctioned.
Right, that's different. Like Leeds went into administration in 2003 and didn't come back until this year or last year or whatever it was. I mean, it took a long time, but that was different. That was their own situation. That had nothing to do with
exactly. It's their own
sanctions.
profligacy.
Yeah.
Whereas this is basically saying that this man is criminal, and we're not or associated with a criminal, and we're basically not allowing him to profit from any. We're seizing his assets,
Right.
so, which is a very different thing, really.
Exactly.
A lot of the old ones, it was like Revenue and Customs were issuing like a winding up order because they hadn't paid their tax bill, or they did some dodgy deals or what have you. Whereas the issue is that the money Abramovich has used into the club has come from dodgy sources, um, and he's profited from the Putin regime, albeit that he's allegedly laundered the money by buying Chelsea Football Club, and therefore that's how the sort of sports washing has sort of come to be. So these are very strange times, and I do wonder about what this might set in train, because if the thing that comes out of this is actually the regulation of clubs is potentially either taken away from the FA or the Premier League or whatever in terms of this fit and proper ownership test, or if it's put in independent hands, or it becomes so robust that actually people like the Saudi regime, their sovereign wealth fund, or the Qataris or whatever, can't actually own what they're calling, because the government have called Chelsea as a football club as a cultural asset, right? So they're to own cultural assets in the UK. It kind of really resets the sporting landscape. Now, what does that mean longer term? There's no, these people go, well, we want to find some other way to utilize our money, so we'll go and buy something in America, or go and buy something in France, or Italy, or whatever it might be. So maybe then you don't have the same level of money coming into the British game anymore, and there are all sorts of potential ramifications, none of which I think are going to happen, in the next 24, 48 hours. But I just wonder what it could mean for the future.
It's definitely not looking good. I mean, I just hope when they think about this, when they're doing this, and I'm sure they are, but that they're thinking about, what this means. And I'm not opposed to sanctioning Putin and doing the things that they're doing per se, but they've got to think about what they're doing to the people, and what are the long-term effects? I hope that they're thinking about that. I mean, just looking at here, and I know you guys probably have the same situation, and living in California, our gas is always way more expensive, already. And I have never, until last weekend, I have never in my life paid over $5 for gas, and we do it by, we don't do it by liter, but like you guys do, but so it's even more expensive for you, but it's just, we do it by gallon, and I go to Costco to get cheaper gas, and I put the high end, the Supreme in my car, because I have a Mini Cooper, it needs a higher end. And so anyway, Costco's Supreme gas is the same price as regular gas right now. So I get the better grade, but it was still $5.19. And I think it's gone up to like $5.50, at Costco. I've seen people posting it $6, and I'm going, this is insane. And this is a direct situation with what's happening in Ukraine. But is it really because of that, or is it taking advantage of, oh, look, we can't, I'm not convinced that this is directly, because of the war that, I think there's some advantages being taken, into account here, but it's affecting us, food prices, everything's going up, and COVID already did that. I mean, look at things that because we couldn't get things because of COVID and getting things over, we've been dealing with this for the last 2 years of things, spiking. But now it seems now it's much, much more than it was during COVID when we couldn't get it because of, obvious reasons. It's
access. Yeah.
So I think the trickling down effect and everything that's going to happen over this whole thing is going to affect it's going to affect the world completely, and that's what's concerning.
So connected.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we everybody likes to think that it's not. It really is. Europe particularly has been taking gas from Russia. So the implications for them about stopping doing that are really significant. The UK takes much less gas from Russia, but takes a lot more money, because we're just awash with it. And like I said, we've got sports washing, we've got property washing, we've got all, there is a real issue in the UK with the level of corruption and infiltration in terms of the UK government, but through Kremlin, through Putin and his sort of Kremlin various other associates. So we've got a separate set of problems, but then that's exacerbated by what we did to ourselves with Brexit, and also we as a country, the government in charge, we had 6-7 years of austerity, right, from 2010 onwards. Then we had a referendum on the EU, then we had Brexit, then we had COVID, right? And I know that this government will now say that all of the things that are going to happen are all down to the war in Ukraine, right? Which is absolute bollocks, right? So the increase in fuel prices, the increase in food prices, the increase in national insurance payments, the all of the things that they have put in place way before this Ukraine stuff, was saying this is the cost of COVID and all the rest of it. And I know this is supposed to be a podcast, and we're going way up. These are all choices that they've made, and all of the costs are filtered. To your point about Reagan, wasn't it? He talked about trickle down economics. This is the ball game we're talking about. But
what a lot of
they've written off nearly £5 billion worth of fraud, and PPE don't want to chase it. We spent £37 billion on a test and trace system that didn't work, right? We gave loads of Tory companies, mates, consultancies, PPE contracts for producing stuff they had no background, no understanding of, and no expertise in, and for half of them never got delivered. We're not chasing any of that money down, and yet all of the other costs are just coming down to the working people. So, having said all of that and gone off onto another rant, I'm gonna try and bring us back onto again. So apologies, listeners, if you didn't want politics with your pod, but there you go. So we are where we are, but I do think it's kind of very interesting times to see the decisions that have been taken around Chelsea as a football club, how those potentially may flow through to the sort of wider sporting arena, and what we choose to think is really important in terms of people owning our clubs. Put it all off my chest now, you'll be pleased to know. So we're going to try and bring the mood up for the second part of this pod. So it feels like a lifetime ago. However, it was only a couple of weeks ago we actually went to Wembley and beat Chelsea, the front being the subject of the day, in a penalty shootout to win our 9th League Cup. Whoop whoop. So
that was incredible.
that was a good day. That was a really
That was a very good weekend.
It was a fantastic weekend. So, Amy Kate, let me start with you. How were you watching the game? Were you with people? Were you in a bar? Were you on one of your fan walls? What were you doing for the League Cup?
So we got together, my supporters group in Carlsbad, and we had the whole place packed. People came out of the woodwork. I mean, there must have been about 60 odd, which we haven't had ever since COVID. I mean, it's been a very small little group of us, and we just packed out the place. It was incredible. We had all the TVs on, and fans everywhere, and everybody was wearing red. And even what was really great is this place that we watch. It's called Senor Grubby's, and they've been supporting us for the last 5-6 years. It's a Mexican restaurant in downtown in the village of Carlsbad, and the game was a little bit later for us, so they were already open, and we had already reserved the back room and whatnot, and took over the whole place. But people came in that weren't really necessarily football fans, but they were just so invested in and cheering us on, and they got involved in it. So it was really cool to have such a big, loud, excited crowd again. It was great. And then of course the shootout was just so intense. I mean, talk about having mini heart attacks. But it was brilliant. And to see Kelleher score his goal, when he went up, and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. It was nerve wracking, but it was so cool to see. And the reactions of the players and whatnot, and just look at Virgil. He was calm as could be, solid to this thing, just looking at him. But I also noticed the mood and the gestures of the Chelsea players. There was some animosity there for sure. That was interesting to see. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but I was just kind of like, okay, and maybe it's just me thinking, oh, they're cocky, but it was very interesting to see their reactions. Like one of them telling you to shh, and it's like, whatever,
Oh, yeah. The other thing you need to say is how did that work out for them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, the better team won. It was great to see. I mean, to be fair, it's not that Chelsea didn't play well. I mean, you can't just like yesterday, the same thing. I mean, but it just felt so good, to win and get our first trophy, and it's a good feeling, and I hope that there's more to come.
Well, it's still conceivably the first of 4, Randy?
Yes, you could say so, and let's hope for it. But I'm not really. I think it is a bit annoying that every press conference we're going to talk about that, because of course for Klopp and the players, it's like they just have to concentrate on the next game. But for us fans, we can talk about it and we can dream about it, and it would be lovely, wouldn't it? And I think if any team, it should be this team doing that, because it is so difficult, isn't it?
Well, nobody's ever done it.
It is the reason for that, I guess.
That's how difficult it is. Nobody's ever done it.
No.
What would you say your favourite couple of moments from the League Cup final were then, Randy?
Oh, it must be one of the saves that Kelleher does in the match before the shootout, because I thought he was brilliant, and I think it is so nice for a club like us to have 2 so good keepers. It is just he helps so much, and I'm so glad he played. So one of his saves was one of the moments. And of course, as you talked about earlier, the hushing from the Chelsea players, like saying, we are the world champions. You just wait and see. We're going to take this in the end, and not making it. That was because all our everyone on our team was so determined. It looked like they could go on scoring those penalties forever. And when Kelleher put his, it was just like, yes, of course. It just had to happen. It had to happen. It was so nice.
It was fantastic. I mean, there's a few bits for me. Sorry, were you going to say something else?
No, just about the nerves, watching that match. Oh, my God. I was on the floor. I was crawling around. I was in the pub, by the way. But it was mad behavior. But nobody saw it because everyone else felt the same,
Yeah, it was. There were a few sort of moments for me. So one of them when Mount had that chance and hit the post, and then it rolled right the way across, like the other side of the goal. Where you're sort of wondering, with Kelleher suspended, you're wondering, is it going to be our day? Clearly, in terms of the penalty shootout itself, I think about Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
And that penalty, because Kepa went to his right and basically went, go to the left, and Virgil basically went, fuck you, you're not saving this. And literally tried to take his head off with the ball, which I thought, and it was just the look on his face. Do you know what I mean? The utter contempt.
Yeah. And the stare afterwards. The stare, back at Kepa.
I loved that. I couldn't believe the coolness of Fabinho.
Yeah.
With that, just chipping it down.
What a crazy man.
And apparently he'd said to Diaz that's what he was going to do. And Diaz sort of said to him, no, surely you're not going to do that. And he went, yeah, it'll be fine.
And then he goes and does it.
And he goes and does it. And then I guess the other thing was Tuchel taking the decision to take Mendy off.
Yeah.
Kepa on for the penalty shootout. Which, you go, that's a brave / stupid decision, because Mendy was having a world-class game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure Mendy wasn't too thrilled about that either,
No.
I would have thought you'd want, because to be fair, he kept all the goals out and he had a good game. And so it was kind of like, now
he had a really good game.
Yeah. And now
but
you're
the
taking
fact
me out?
that he did that, and then, it's like we did.
Well, thank God.
But we win 11-10 in the shootout with Kepa ballooning
Yeah.
over the bar. It seemed like poetic justice to me.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. And all the memes that came out after that were hilarious.
He was doing a goal kick, wasn't he?
Yeah. What did you see the one with Harry Redknapp?
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of. Oh my God, I was dying. That was my favorite.
That was fantastic. But the other bit the other two bits that I loved, there were loads, and you know what it's like when you win, you're just inhaling content like for days afterwards.
Yeah.
But I loved the when they were in the stadium, they were all the team, all the supporters, they were all dancing to Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
After the penalty shootout. And after the thing, which I thought was great, but then I think I might have even put it on our group, but them all dancing in the changing room.
Yes,
yeah.
I love that.
Doing a very strange dance.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was, but it was hilarious.
He's honestly, he is insane. I think that, but he's fabulous. I love that. Yeah,
funny.
Whatever dance he was doing. And the other one was it Achterberg?
Yeah.
Looked like it was in a little dream or whatever. Yeah. It was so much fun to watch that.
I actually saved that because it's just so funny to look back and just it was such an enjoyable moment to see them. They were just going at it, having a great time. Not a care in the world, just celebrating, and it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It was, and the other meme, because we are going to come on and talk about the player himself, was did you see what it so like Luis Diaz, 27 days and his first trophy for Liverpool.
Yeah.
27 years and still nothing.
That one was funny. It also, the one that was kind of like seeing like a shooting star or something across, that's the goal going out of the stadium and into the sky. That was also a really good one. They were just very simple. Some of them were just so simple, but so like got the point. It was just, sometimes those are the best.
No, it was brilliant. But when you talk about the players who really shone in that game, one of the players who really shone was Luis Diaz, and we did mention him a little bit earlier. So I'm going to go back to you, Randy, to start on this, because he's been with us a month.
Yeah,
I mean,
seems like forever.
It
seems
feels
like he's always been with us.
Yeah. I mean, Randy, tell us how you feel about Luis Diaz.
Oh, just fallen in love, and as you said, it's been a month-ish. It feels like years, and he is such a brilliant fit. Just his energy, his playfulness, his big smile in training, his, the way he slotted in. He said himself that this was his dream, to do it like this, to be here, to be with this team, to play as he does now. But he said it was a dream. So the fact that it actually happened already is absolutely mad. But I must admit, when he was signing, I thought, well, I've heard about this guy for a bit now, and apparently we're monitoring, as people say. And we've been monitoring guys left, right, and centre. So you never really believe it until he's there. But when he came first, I thought, I've seen him do Porto a couple of times. We played against him. He's had one or two things happening in the game, but I haven't really thought that he was such a smasher. But this goes back to every signing we do, isn't it? I mean, the same with Salah, with Mané, with Shota. They also felt like, decent footballers, but nothing more. And then they come here to us and they play absolutely fantastic. So it is something happening with us. And when we get the right guys, it's amazing. So apparently to Klopp, he has still some defending to do. Of course he has. I guess that goes for a couple of them every other match.
I mean, let's face it, he doesn't speak that much English yet.
No, he doesn't. And that Klopp had another good comment on that the other day, didn't he? That he's really good friends with Thiago. Of course, he speaks Spanish with Bobby and Fab and stuff like that, because they speak Spanish-ish. But he said, I wonder what him and Elliot talks about, because they are a lot together. But apparently they talk football, don't they? Did you see those trickeries they had the sideline before, was it the final? They are just playing each other with a cheek, they are loving being in each other's presence, it looks like.
And that's lovely to see as well. So Amy Kate, Luis Diaz, tell me.
Oh, I'm just so excited to have him. He's so quick on the ball. He's got so much speed. He's fearless. I mean, go back to the goal from yesterday, and didn't even hesitate. He just went for it, and things could have, like I said, gone completely different. But I mean, he just fits in with the team well. He's just a joy to watch, and it's just, I'm so excited to have him, and can't wait to see more of him.
And he's starting to add, goals now. And if he's fitted in so well in such a short space of time, you wonder what he will be like next season. When he's fully integrated, when his language is better. as I don't know whether you saw the post-game interview, because obviously you get slightly different coverage. But
I didn't. They cut it off, so I don't get to see that a lot of the time.
So they did a post-game interview with Andy Robertson, and they were asking him about Luis Diaz, and they were sort of saying, "Oh, why has he settled in so well?" And he said, "Well, maybe it's because he doesn't speak any English really, and he can't understand what I'm saying. Maybe that's." He said, we're building we're starting to build a good relationship, and he knows what sort of runs I'm going to make now, and I know what kind of runs he's going to make. But he said, I go to the Spanish speakers, in the squad in terms of, if there's things I want to say. But he's a really good lad. I mean, the other thing is that any Spurs fans watching this must be gutted.
Yes.
Because we literally just came and went, oh, Spurs negotiating. Right, Lewis, you don't want to go there. You really want to come here.
Well, we did.
Yeah. And, but they, it's that kind of thing, look what you could have won.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I did not expect him to hit the ground running the way that he did. I fully expected it would be, we'll see the odd bit of him here and there, and really we'll see him in the squad next season. So he's certainly exceeded all of my expectations. And if he only has those 2 goals between now and the end of the season, that's probably more than I thought we would get out of him. But he's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and he's not even like I said, fully integrated into the squad yet. So I'm really excited to see what he can do for us. And the next game that he could be playing for us, depending on who Klopp decides to pick, is obviously our game in hand against Arsenal in midweek, which has taken on even more importance now. Had we played them when we were due to, which I think was December or something, they were a bit of a shambles at that point. They're a much different proposition this time round. They appear to sort of have some structure and some sort of momentum behind them. What are you thinking about the game, Randy?
Well, I certainly wish for Ødegaard, the Norwegian, to be injured. That would be nice. Because he's doing very well for them at the moment. He's really got running, and he's making goals and assists all the time. So I'm a bit afraid of Arsenal right now because they look very, very good. But at the same time, I think we should take pride in our team and say that we could actually beat anyone now. Right now, we could. We played Chelsea in the final that could have been a Champions League final. I mean, we must say, I think we're going to win that match, but it's going to be, as you said, so much harder right now.
We need to win that match, though.
Yeah.
And going in with that mindset, I think makes a big difference because we have to take each game at a time. And if we want to finish top of the table and win league again this year, we have to go through that. We have to win every game, and it's really going to come down to, I think, to when we play City, so it'll be it's a do or die kind of thing, and Liverpool shows up with those things. They definitely, when they want it, so and I know we want it, so it's definitely it's going to be interesting. We're going to bring it.
We want it, and I also would take great pleasure in beating old Lego head as well.
Indeed.
He annoys me. I think he's got delusions of grandeur myself. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe he'll end up being incredibly successful at Arsenal. But there is something deeply irritating about Mikel Arteta, in my view.
Oh, it's because he's good looking. He's pretty to look at. That's what's irritating.
Not his hair, though.
No, just put a hat on him.
Each to their own. Doesn't do anything for me, but whatever. Um, so we play Arsenal next, and then we obviously have the FA Cup game against Nottingham Forest, which would have been our home game against Man United, which obviously is now going to be rescheduled. So it probably works very well for you time-wise, Amy Kate, but that game is scheduled for 6 p.m. on a Sunday night over here, which actually, for assuming that it didn't go to extra time or penalties, is actually sort of quite tricky for some people to get a train, to actually get public transport home.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
For that, and I see no reason why it has to be 6 p.m. The powers that be, for whatever reason, there's 4 quarterfinals. They've put one on a Saturday and the other 3 on a Sunday, so they haven't even split them equally. And then they've basically made them something like 12, 4, and 6, which is just, anyway, they are what they are. So we've got Nottingham Forest. First time we played them in the FA Cup, I think. Not quite since Hillsborough. But it's yeah. I mean, I think that
It's been a long time.
there's lots of sort of resonance there. Having said that, I think some of their fans are not nice, and I suspect it's going to be quite a spicy atmosphere at the City Ground. Is my take on it. So I've got friends going who are sort of saying, they're expecting it to be a little bit tasty round there. But it'll be what it be. And Nottingham Forest aren't going to be, any pushovers. They knocked Leicester out, and they obviously beat whoever it was, Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Round. So that their tails will be up. It's a home game. It's a Sunday. It's live on TV. They've got nothing to lose. So I expect it to be. I expect it to be a hard game. I still think we should win, but I am expecting that to be a hard game.
Just hope for no injuries.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing to kind of get out of there unscathed, and move on, because next week is actually quite pivotal about whether, notwithstanding, I know we've still got to play Watford before we play Man City, and Watford have turned us over before, so I'm not taking anything for granted. But next week, at the end of next week, we will know whether we're in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and whether actually having won that game in hand, if we've won that game in hand, then it really is potentially game on at the Etihad in a couple of weeks' time. So be a really pivotal week for us, which is what you want. You want every game to mean something, right?
Yeah. But also, can I just say that we have the quarterfinals of the Champions League on each side of the City match. So
we do.
So if we get City in the Champions League, we're going to play them 3 times in 1 week or whatever. It's going to be ridiculous. So that is exciting as well, isn't it? The draws.
It is. So just on that then, do you have and I appreciate there's games still to be played this coming week to sort of finalise the lineup, but at the moment it's us, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid and Man City thus far. I'm sort of expecting Chelsea to go through against Lille. You've got Juve against Villarreal. I would assume that Juve would go through, but I don't know. You've got Ajax against Benfica. And you've got, she said, desperately trying to remember who the other tie was.
You've got a great memory, because I couldn't remember.
I think I wiped it from my mind because it's Man U against Atletico Madrid. It's like it's like the shit tie of the round.
Yeah.
I want to lose, but they can't. So
exactly. I really want to meet Man U. The trouble is they are not going to get past Atletico, are they?
Do you know what? They might. They actually
You never
just
know.
you never can tell. Atletico were not the force they were, but it's Old Trafford, so you never can tell. Old rapey boy might come up trumps again. So
Yeah.
yeah, we will see. But if you could pick, are you saying that's who, if they go through, that's who you'd want in the next round? Then, Randy, you're saying you'd want Man U?
Yeah, or Ajax, or maybe Juve, because I don't
Okay.
think they are. I'm not
Kate,
sure they're going to get through across the Villarreal. Then.
either. Amy, Kate, if you could hand pick your opponent for the quarterfinals of the Champions League, who would you want?
God. I don't really care. I don't really want to. I don't really want City because we have enough of them. So it's who I
Yeah.
don't want. I really just don't want to deal with City. I'd like someone else to take them out.
Yeah.
So we don't have to play with them play them because we have enough of them. But no, but when I was watching, Liverpool play, this week, and Byron was playing on the other television at the pub. Now I wasn't really paying attention, to be honest, but you could hear the goals and whatever. Was it 5-0 or something? I mean,
I think you'll find it was 7-1.
It was 7.
oh, so
It
I
was
stopped
crazy.
watching. I stopped watching at 5-0. Okay. So, like I said, I wasn't really paying attention, but they're the ones that scare me right now. After that, I'm kind of like, oh. So I don't think I really want them either. But so I think those are the two I really wouldn't want to play right now. Watch, those are what we're gonna get because I said it. But those are the two that make me nervous.
Yeah. What I really want is I want two other English teams to draw each other in the quarterfinal. So assuming that either Chelsea and or potentially Man U will go into the quarterfinals, I want one of them to draw one of the other and
Yeah, that'd be good.
out.
I like that.
And then like eventually we could have, I don't know, Ajax or Benfica or something. Because I to my mind, the Champions League, you want to be playing the big teams from other countries. I'm not interested in other English teams. I don't give a shit. I'd rather none of them were in it, but you can't have everything.
Right. I get what you're saying about that. It's really hard to want to see another English team, especially when it's United or Chelsea or City, beat us or be successvel. Like you just, it's hard to cheer for that or hard to want to even watch it. I didn't watch
I've never watched a Champions League final that had another English team in it ever. I have no interest. I only want to know that they've lost, and then I'll watch the highlights.
Yeah.
So I have no interest in watching any other team be successful in Europe. So we will see on Friday the 18th of March, I believe it is the Champions League draw. So we'll know who the quarterfinalists, and we'll know who, because they do the quarterfinal and semi-final draws together. So we'll know who to play if we get through. So that will be exciting. And
let's
then
hope they don't mess it up this time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hope. I mean, Jesus, there's only going to be 8 teams left. How badly could they fuck it up? But,
well,
I know. And then so that'll be on the Friday, and then the Sunday we'll play Forest in the FA Cup quarterfinal. So it's all coming together. So we're now going to move on to any other business. So and I know we like to sort of focus and talk about the LFC women team as well. And Amy, Kate, they are doing very, very well.
They are. They've got 6 games left. They're top of the table with 39 points. They're 7 points clear So this is looking like a good possibility that they will be promoted this year back to where they belong. So Matt Beard's done a really great job with the girls. We've got a really great team. It's seems like they're very cohesive together. And
good job since she's come in.
Sorry, you broke up.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying it looks like Katie Stengel's really done well.
Yeah.
Signed.
Yeah, it's great to see an American in there. She's scored quite a few goals, and it's really funny to watch her on Twitter because she's gotten so lost with, the Englishisms, I guess. I'm not sure what to say, but she doesn't really understand. There was a really funny video. They were talking about tea, and she's like, she didn't understand because in America we breakfast, lunch, dinner, we don't, or occasionally supper, but depending on where you are in the United States, but there's no tea. Tea is a drink to us. I understand that because I have enough friends and been around it, but that tea is dinner, but she's like, so you drink tea for dinner? Like, she was just so confused. And she's trying to understand, the whole concept, and they're trying to explain it to her. And I don't think she's quite got the grasp of the Scouse accent yet either. Cause, Missy Kearns is trying to explain it to her, and she's just like deer in headlights. It's hilarious. And her tweets are very funny, because she's just trying to like grasp the way of life in Liverpool, and it's absolutely brilliant. And she's taking it with, a grain of salt, and she's having a good time, but she's definitely, learning curve. So, and they've taken her on, and I think she's really part of the team, but it's really funny, to see the disconnect of the English language, really.
Yeah.
And I forget because, I've loved football my whole life, and, we call it soccer here, but it's, I don't know at this point what's the difference between English and British English and American English as far as terms, because I'm so used to it. But somebody that comes from, a new place, they, what? I mean, there's so many things that we say differently than
Very
they do
true.
in the UK, and then put them in Liverpool, and it's a whole other thing. I think if you're, the slang and everything, and it's just fun. But she's doing a good job.
She is. That's and it's brilliant. We're delighted to see that they're hopefully heading for promotion. So we'll keep an eye out on their next few games. If any of our listeners are interested, you can go and watch them. They're playing at Trenton Park. So not this weekend. They're away at Charlton, but they do still have some home games living up. So if you're in the area and you can go and support them, please do.
They have a bus for them as well. They've been doing coaches to the games to get you there, and they've also been setting up coaches for, I'm seeing it all over social media, for some of the away games. They're really trying to, help support the girls, and the tickets are very inexpensive, and they've really built up a supporters group, and it's great to see what's been going on in the last year. And it's fantastic to see, that we're, getting some recognition for the women in football, and it's nice to see Liverpool going back, because Matt was the coach back when they won it, I think, in
They want it back to back.
Yeah, I think it was it, I might have this wrong. Was it 11 and 12, or do I have that wrong? I think so.
Yeah, they're all there.
I'd have to look it again, but it's been a long time since Liverpool. We fell from graces, as you do. But they're coming back, and football as a whole for women is really coming together. I mean, it's still a long way to go, but I'm really excited to see what's going on. There's TV contracts and things going on now, and it seems like England's really kind of starting to grasp that there really is women's football, you
Yeah,
know?
I know. So yeah, fingers crossed. Everything goes well for their last 6 games of the season. So we'll keep an eye on that. Any other business from you, Amy Kate?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, I'm sure we've talked about her game too a couple podcasts ago, and it's been about, I don't know, 10 months now that Kaz and her group started this in the UK, and it was really a campaign against sexism in football, and they've got over 100 teams now that are partnering with them, and we just started Her Game 2 USA in conjunction with them, working with them. And I'm on the leadership team with that, with some fantastic girls around the country. Really excited to start, supporting this campaign in the United States as well. We've already have our first 2, we've only been doing this for a couple weeks now, but we already have our first 2 teams, and we're working on some more to join the campaign and really just, bring awareness to football, and the abuse of abuse within football, and make it a safe haven for women and girls to be in the stadiums and have a safe forum and just make it more welcoming for them, a welcoming environment. So that's kind of the big push right now, and it's become very successful. I'm really excited to be a part of that.
That's fantastic. That is really, really good news, and a really important campaign, because we're here, we talk about football, we love football, we go to stadia, we've all sat in pubs and had men look at us in surprise when we know the offside rule, or we can actually talk intelligently about fixtures or tactics or structures or whatever it is. It is, football should be the great leveler, and gender shouldn't come into it. So I hope we have great success with that, and make sure you promote it as well on social media, so we can we can all share amongst our followers and try and get the message out as widely as possible. Thank you.
It's Her Game 2 on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and the US one is Her Game 2 USA. And I just want to say a big shout out to Jen, both Jessica's and Marissa and Tasha. Those are the girls that I'm doing it with. And we've got 2 Liverpool. Jen's another Liverpool supporter. 2 Arsenal, a Norwich City, and Juventus. So we've kind of those are the teams that the ladies all support. So it's not all Liverpool, but we're open to making sure that no matter what team you support in the MLS here in the United States or in Europe, you have a safe haven and to feel comfortable and have a to just change the landscape of what women's football looks like, or football in general for women, is the idea. So I'm excited to continue to promote this and get awareness, because I think I don't think they realize how condescending sometimes that they can be, and the jokes aren't funny. So and just we should all be able to have an intelligent conversation and equally love the sport, together. So we'll keep you posted.
Brilliant. Thanks, Amy Kate. Randy, any other business from you?
Well, of course, I'm sharing for Her Game too. I really admire what you're doing there, Amy Kate, and all the rest of you. So, of course, we're going to share that on social as well. Having been a fan for so many years, and as you said, Kate, you get the most stupid questions from men sometimes. But anyway, moving along. my little hint earlier to a solution for Wembley with the Liverpool fans putting the blue shirts on. Actually, that might have been quite sensible, because just now I saw a leak on Twitter. Well, presumably a leak for our next third kit, and that is fucking blue.
You're kidding.
I really can't believe it. I'm not going to put on a blue shirt. What are they thinking? I mean, earlier we'd had the turquoise or whatever that was, and I like that color. That's a different color, isn't it? This is not blue.
Yeah.
But this is a bright blue. What the fuck?
What are they thinking?
I know. Who's thinking nothing? Who is doing this?
You need to try and find somebody who works for Nike over there and have a word with them.
Yeah, because it actually looked like Chelsea's next year kit, you know? It's so strange.
The question I have, okay, Nike's designing this, but...
Yeah, and they must have mixed up ours and Chelsea's shirts.
Right, but don't we have the powers to be, whoever it is that makes these decisions? I don't know if it goes all the way up to Billy Hogan or if it's, but Liverpool has to approve this, right? Like, I mean, I can't imagine that they don't have a say. So, and maybe I'm wrong, but if they have a say, how are they allowing this?
It's just
this
strange.
Is a good idea. There's certain things with certain clubs that certain colors can't be, and bright blue is a color that Liverpool can't be. It's like telling Everton to wear red. You know? I mean, it's just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Oh.
Let's just hope it's a dustbin, Randy.
Let's just use them on Wembley then. Yeah.
Well, exactly.
It's so much strange going on in the world, so I guess that is not the worst. But it is interesting and strange.
Well, we've had some interesting, the last few years, some very interesting kits come across, from all the different teams in the different leagues. And you're just like, that was bad, but at least we didn't look like a zebra,
Yes.
Even as bad as some of them we're looking at, we're like, oh. And the one that last season that you said you liked, the turquoise, I just wasn't a big fan of it. I loved the color, I thought was nice, but the way it was put together and the way they were trying to say, oh, it's the top of the Shankly Gates and it's the Liverbird, it's the color of the Liverbird. How far-fetched in my mind. I mean, maybe I just don't get the marketing thing, but I'm like, how are you buying this bullshit? And I remember knowing we were getting the Nike as our new, like we all knew it was coming, and that was going to be our new sponsor for the next 5 years or whatever it is. And I was in the pub, and we were playing Chelsea actually, and so there was a couple of the Chelsea people I was chatting with, and there was a guy that was wearing that season's, and they had a similar. I thought at first it was like blue camo, but when you got close up, they explained, and I said, I'm not trying to take the piss. I really want to understand, like, first of all, do you actually like the kit? And second, like, what is that supposed to represent? And they said it was supposed to be parts of Stamford Bridge. And that's when ours came out, I said, that's exactly what they're doing, because they're cookie cutter, even though they swear up and down they're not. And it's hilarious, like, when you're seeing some of these teams and you're, like last season, it was identical. Allison's keeper shirt and I think it was Zenit. Like, it was literally, the only difference was one thing. It was the patch between ours and theirs. That was everything. It was identical. And I'm like, and this isn't cookie cutter? And you're looking at, oh, well, it's a different color, same pattern. I don't understand how people want, it's just shocking.
Yeah, let's see
but
what it ends up with
it
now, though. We don't know whether this is just a take one or whatever, but
it's too soon to bring that out. Oh, everybody's gonna start stressing on that and focusing on. Like, I don't get why they're. It's not even April yet, and they're leaking it. Oh my God, it's like starting to have Christmas ornaments come out for next year.
Oh, help us all.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, like I said, when I'm in charge, they'll only be able to have one kit every 2 years. This is ridiculous,
Yeah.
bringing out
What
a
happened
new
to that
kit
well
every
money?
season.
They I want to say it was 2000 and because the when we had before, I guess, oh, actually it was when we went to Warrior / New Balance. We were having them every couple of years. You'd have a different away and third kit, but you kept the same home kit for a couple of years. And there's no reason except for greed and money that we need to have a new shirt every year. Like
Exactly.
it's all about marketing and money,
Mm.
and they're so expensive, and it's gotten worse. Like, I mean, when we
Yeah.
went to Nike, oh, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a bit.
it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking to see. And I've been told, because I cannot stand American football, so I don't follow it, but their shirts are like $300.
So
I mean,
I
so we think
yeah.
ours are expensive.
Mm.
No, they are. They're a ridiculous amount of money because I do, as you know, I do like the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't buy much in the way of merchandise, mainly because it is ridiculously expensive. And I only ever, if I am ever going to buy anything, I only ever buy it if there's a sale on.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
It's still expensive with the sale.
it's still expensive with the sale. And basically, I'm still using my Cowboys shirt from sometime in the 90s where I bought it. I don't know, sometime in the 90s. And
When they were the team to beat.
yeah, and it's got Emmett Smith on the back of it, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's how the thing, but that's my shirt. That's what I wear, right? I haven't, I've never replaced it. And I think it was probably, I mean, I'm trying to think because I think I bought it in America. So I reckon it was probably about $50 when I bought it. But we're talking, however, 20 years ago or something. I don't know, 25 years ago, whatever it might be. So that was my one investment.
Well, that was a lot of money then, though, too. I mean, it's just
What?
it's what I don't get is why they don't make things more affordable for everyone. I get that the rich and upper class people, buy a family of 4 or family of 6 shirts, and then they're spend $1,000 and not even batting an eye. But the fans, not all fans are like that. It's just to have one shirt every couple years for some families. I mean, thank God they have like the T-shirts and things that they had brought out, but that are kind of like little replicas. But it's just, especially when kids are outgrowing them and you wear them for like a year and then
I know. But the problem is most football clubs, and I'm sure ours is no different. They build their budgets and they're committed on the fact that they're going to be releasing at least one shirt every season. So there'll be an income line against that.
absolutely.
And therefore, if they don't do it, they have to find a way to backfill that income line somewhere else. Which I guess potentially could be ticket prices, or it could be something else. And this is the problem, ultimately football ends up eating itself if it doesn't do the things. And and the problem is, and we're sort of running out of time now, and I do want to come back to this subject probably on the next pod. But you probably would have picked up UEFA's announcement about the changes they're planning to make to the Champions League from the 24-25 season. Which is a de facto European Super League, right? So whichever way you wanna cut it, which ends up at potentially, I think, another 100 games per season, and it's farcical, right? Because there's not enough space now in the fixture list for everything we've already got, and Arsene Wenger's banging on about us having a World Cup every 2 years.
Well, that got shut down, thank God.
Yeah. but at some point something has to give. This is probably the death knell for the League Cup, or at least for like the top 8 Premier League clubs or something. If their intention is to qualify for the Champions League, there's no space. There'll be no space to pay things like the League Cup anymore. So I certainly don't know what all the answers are, but let's park that because we haven't got time to talk about it now. But I am going to come back to that because I find it mind blowing and it is purely about money. So we have come to the end of this pod. It's been great being back together. So it is a little bit of a bumper edition, dear listeners. So I hope you enjoy it, even with my rants going through it. And we will be talking to you again very soon. So thank you, Amy Kate. Thank you, Randy. And we'll be back sooner than you know it. Thanks for listening.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.